Hello again. You have found Julie and Ed here at Orange Therapy on YouTube. I'm a professional counselor in South Carolina, and Ed works alongside of me. Today I'm going to continue the conversation that we've started and been carrying out for the past few weeks on boundaries. Today I'm going to take a dive into the boundaries of finances and possessions. Sit back and let's learn together. So remember, boundaries help us define what is me and what is you, what is mine and what is yours, what I have to give versus what I need in order to remain healthy. And they're determined by us, even when it has to do with our possessions or our finances. So let me explain what I mean. When I'm talking about boundaries with regards to my possessions, I get to determine who I loan my things out to and who I don't. Let's say I've got a fairly large library, which I happen to have. I have a number of resources, books in multiple locations. And you are doing a study on something and would like to borrow some of my books. Well, I don't have a problem with that. Come to me, and I even will maybe even leave it open-ended. I'll let you know if I need my books back, then I will reach out to you and let you know that I need my books back, and then I would expect them back within that week. I'm pretty clear about that. So if somebody borrows books from me and they have this open-ended thing, and then I say to them, hey, I need my books back, I have a client and I need to look at something for reference, then if the book is returned to me quickly, I don't have a problem loaning things out to that person again. If, however, my book comes back to me and it is trampled and sticky with pages missing, or worse yet, it isn't returned to me at all, I am much less inclined to loan out books to that person in the future because they didn't respect my things. So the next time they come to me, an answer to them might be, last time you borrowed my books, they came back damaged. So I'm not going to be loaning my books out to you again. I highly recommend the library or looking at a good secondhand bookstore to find the resources you need. If I continue to give my books to somebody and they continue to give them back damaged and they're not bothered by it at all, but I become resentful, it can damage the friendship. I don't want that to happen. Let's say it's something bigger though. Let's say somebody wants to borrow your car or your truck. They need to do a building project, and so they ask if they can borrow your truck. Well, you're not using your truck that day, but you have an appointment at 5 o'clock that evening, and you let your friend know, absolutely you can borrow my truck. Just have it back by 4 p.m. so that I can make it to my own appointment. And your friend borrows the truck and they return it to you full tank of gas at the appointed time. Would you have any problem loaning out your truck to that friend again? Probably not. You'd be inclined to do that. Now let's say somebody borrows your truck and you let them know you need it back at a specific time, and it's getting close to that time, say it's 5 minutes from that time, and they're still not back yet with your vehicle, and they say, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm running behind, I just have one more errand to run. Then they come to you, they drop off your vehicle, throw the keys at you and say, I've got to go home, the kids need to eat. And you go out to your vehicle and it's running on empty and there's trash all over inside of your car. You're late for your appointment already and you have to stop and get gas. Are you inclined to loan that vehicle to that friend another time? Well, in both of those situations I have referenced, I've spoken to people who have continued to loan their things out, continued to loan out their property only to have it returned damaged, and they said, what choice do I have? They're my family member. I've got to do this. And what happens is they start to become resentful. They want to be generous with their things. And if they happen to say no, then their friend or their family member might even become aggressive and criticize them for their lack of generosity, and they feel bad. So they continue to loan it out. Well, we're allowed to say no. When our things are being damaged, when they're not being treated with respect, we're allowed to say to that person, I'm sorry, I'm not going to loan that out to you anymore. What about finances though? Finances can even be more sticky, particularly with family members. I have to decide, first of all, if somebody comes to me asking for my finances, do I have it to give? right? And I have to know some things about me. It's kind of like in the last video that I had discussed the time blocking. I need to know in advance, what is my financial status right now? Am I working at getting out of debt? How often do I eat out? What do I say to people if they want to borrow money from me? What is my giving status? What bills are coming out? What past due? What different things am I doing with my money right now? Am I in partnership with somebody? If I'm married, are we both on the same page with our finances? Do we have financial goals? Because I need to set those goals. I need to be on the same page as my significant other so that we don't have financial difficulties between us. So let's say I want to save money for the future. Maybe I want to pay off all of my debts. So I'm going to limit the amount of money that I spend on going out to lunch. Maybe I say with my spouse, hey, let's just plan on one meal out a week and the rest of the meals we eat at home. And so we set that as our goal together. And we decide that for holiday purchases, we're going to have a cap on how much money we spend. Well, then we have to stick to it. And we have made these boundaries and we know why we're making these boundaries. There are plenty of pitfalls that can happen when we have finances. And in her book, 9 Steps to Making Smarter Choices with Your Money, Mary Beth Stevenson talks about 9 types of frenemies that can get involved, kind of be the sticky wicket in your finances. And they can negatively impact healthy boundaries that we have set. The first one that she mentions is the entitled. Somebody who just takes from you without asking. They might say, I'm going to move into your office on Fridays because I know that you're not in the office on Fridays. No sense in that going to waste. And they don't offer to cover any of the financial piece of your office rental. Or perhaps you have children who have gone off to school and they come back home and they say, I'm going to move back in home now. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, it's only going to be for 1 to 2 years. And they don't have the conversation about what the financial responsibility of theirs will be. So there's the entitled. There's the budget buster friend who knows that you have set goals to get out of debt. And you might be looking at something at a store and they see how much you like it. But instead of supporting you and reinforcing your goals that you have set for yourself, they say, oh, you want it? Buy it. It's not bad. It's not much, right? You can make it up later. Just hide it from your significant other. Put it in the back of your closet. They'll never know, right? That's the budget buster. Then you have the one-upper. That person who, when you buy something you've saved for and you're so proud of it and of yourself, maybe you have a 2013 Jeep and somebody comes to you and says, oh, I just bought myself the new Jeep. Yours is okay though. Then there are the priors. The priors who have to know how much everything you own costs. Oh, that's a really nice house you have. How much did you pay for that? Right? It's not for them to know. Like those shoes, where'd you get them? How much do they cost? How much does it cost for you to drive that vehicle? What's your insurance rate? Right? They're asking all of these personal questions. You don't even know them that well. Or maybe you do know them really well, but they're asking all of these personal questions. It makes you uncomfortable. And you almost feel like I have to answer the questions, but you don't. There's the green-eyed monster, that jealous friend who looks at your life and says, it must be nice to have that education. You had that full ride scholarship. I had to pay for mine. I'm still paying through the nose for those student loans. But you worked your tail off to get that. And they're jealous for the work that you did, but you're afraid to say that. Maybe there's the FROMO frenemy. That person who knows that you're wanting to get out of debt, knows that you have these financial responsibilities, knows that you are trying to pull in the purse strings, and they say, you're going to miss out if you don't go. You really need to buy that trip. You need to get in on this or you're going to miss out. So how do we address all of these different people in our life? How do we have appropriate boundaries with all of these different types of people? Well, we need to have a discussion with people. We need to let people know, I am changing things about me. I am getting a handle on my finances. You know, if we're out with that budget buster, we can say to them, I know in the past I would have let you talk me into this, but I'm not going to purchase that. I have a goal of getting out of debt, and I'm going to work really hard to do that right now. I'm working hard now so that I don't have to work as hard later. Have a discussion with the entitled people in my life to let my children know, yes, you can move back home, but you're going to be working and not going to school just like we're working. And so we expect while you are at home that you are going to take on certain financial responsibility, and this is how much it's going to be. And it's going to be owed on this day of every month. And then follow through, actually collect it. And they might not be happy about it, and they might wonder, particularly if you haven't done this before, if you really mean it. But if you want to have appropriate boundaries, you also need to follow through on enforcing those boundaries. And what are the consequences if they don't? If you don't want to pay rent here at this incredibly reduced rate, that's fine. But you need to be out at the end of the month and find your own place to live. You're allowed to do that. What do we do for the one-upper, right? We worked really hard. We saved up for a used vehicle, and they bought the brand new one. We can just be happy for them. Remember, our boundary is to live within our means, not within theirs. And maybe they have a greater financial resource. Well, good for them, right? So we can say, well, that's great. I'm thrilled that I was able to buy this and I have no payments. And I'm just so proud of myself for doing so. We can celebrate and support them and ourselves. We don't have to feel bad about it. We did something for us and they are doing something for them. Remember, boundaries are looking after me and you looking after you. You can be happy with your vehicle. I'm happy with mine too. As far as the priors go, those people who have to know how much something costs, you can actually say to them, why is it important for you to know that? Are you thinking of buying one? And it might kind of catch them off guard and they might be like, no, I was just interested. And you can say, well, then you can look it up. I don't want to talk about finances with you. I just wanted to show you this new thing that I have. You don't have to reveal that to somebody else just because they ask. You don't have to answer any question that somebody asks you just because they ask it. You are allowed to determine what you reveal and what you don't reveal. So if somebody says to you, how much does that cost? Just sit there for a second, take a breath and say, why is it important for you to know that? Are you looking at getting one? And then see what they say. Then change the subject if you don't want to talk about it. You know, that green-eyed monster, you're so lucky you got that. And I addressed this a few moments ago, but we work hard, right? To be able to do things. Sometimes people work hard early on and they retire early and they hear from their peers, oh, must be nice you got to retire early. It is nice, but it also is really hard. We set our financial priorities and then we lived by them. We lived within our means, saving early so that we could spend within reason later in our lives. That FOMO friend, buy that ticket, it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. It is. It is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and I will really enjoy looking at pictures with you, but right now, it's not for me. Because right now, I'm working at paying down my debt so I don't pass it along to my children. Right now, I'm looking at purchasing a life insurance policy so that my children don't have to pay for my funeral later on. And all of these are choices. Have the talk. Let them know I'm getting a handle on my finances. I'm choosing for me what is right and appropriate. Let them know that there will be some changes. Let your coworkers know, hey, I'm not going to be going out to lunch every day. It's not because I don't want to. I'd really like to. But my husband and I decided we're only going to eat out one day a week. I'm going to be brown bagging it for a little while. Why don't you guys bring brown bags so we can have brown bag lunch day one day a week and eat together and laugh? Finally, get support. If you're wanting to make changes in your financial status, seek out a financial advisor. If you're wanting to make changes in your boundaries with your personal possessions and your finances with regard to family members, seek out the assistance of a counselor. They can help you learn to identify the patterns that are at play and where you can step in and make changes to have appropriate, healthy boundaries within relationships. Remember, resentment is a great sign that boundaries are being overstepped. If I have anger and resentment over the way somebody else is treating me, using me, or just being entitled to the things that I have, then I have to look at whether or not the boundaries are healthy ones. I hope you learned something today. I know this is a huge topic and there's a lot more to explore in a lot of different areas, and we're going to do that going forward here at Orange Therapy on YouTube. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, I would ask you to do that. But it is your decision whether you do it or not. That's a boundary I'll let you have. In the meantime, continue learning, continue applying these lessons. Whether you do or whether you don't, I want you to know that you are welcome here at Orange Therapy on YouTube, just as you are.